Well, just once again, welcome to all of you. Thanks for being here. A few words of gratitude to go around. Thanks to our musicians today, of course, to Paul Komnick, who's here, but to members of the Crosstown Community Band who are helping us worship today. Thank you for being here. It means a lot. And they rehearse down in the bowels of the church here on Monday nights, too. So it's a good place, good time to have them here, up in the brightness, yes. So, and thanks to Praise Jam, who helped us throughout the week. They're not playing today as well, but we're great to have with us throughout the week. And then people behind the scenes, people some of you know Bonnie, some of you know Randy, and some of you know Aaron, who's helping with custodial duties today. Easter demands a lot of those people, so if you know them, thank them at some point, and I thank them as well. And thank you to you for being here. We'd be lonely without you. Grace, peace, and mercy to all of us this day from the crucified and risen one. Amen. On the first day of the week at early dawn, they went to the tomb taking the spices they had prepared. They found the stone rolled away from the tomb, but when they went in, they did not find the body. I confess, I grew up in the church. I had no choice. My dad's a preacher. And then I've been a pastor for a while now. I'm still learning how to make sense of this story. Like the women at the tomb or Peter who ran there afterwards, did you notice it can leave them perplexed or amazed? Or like some of the first disciples, it sounded like an idle tale, and they did not believe. If you feel that way, you're not alone. You're in the company of the people that knew Jesus the best. So if there are any doubters or cynics in the crowd, welcome. You're not alone. And at the same time, I appreciate the telling of the story in this way, because if you are perplexed or amazed, or if you have doubts or cynicism, well, you're in good company, at least initially. And it took some time and maybe a few encounters. Did you notice even that we read the story of Easter today, and Jesus is nowhere to be found? Isn't that weird? Over the years, I've wondered about that a number of times, and it reminded me of one of my first years as a pastor. I do not claim to be a huge Minnesota Vikings fan, but I'm a Minnesota kid and I like sports, so I follow along every now and then. And one day after church, it was the first Sunday of the season, and so I turned the radio on the way home. It was about noon. And just as the Vikings had received the ball, they were running their first play. And the commentary from the commentator was this. Here's the first play of the season. They hand off the ball to Adrian Peterson. He runs right, breaks a tackle, and he's loose. And anybody who ever saw Adrian Peterson run knew what the commentator meant when they said, he's loose, because he wasn't going to be tackled. Nothing was going to stop him. I'm mindful that the story of Jesus this week is kind of like that. The story of Easter says God's love is on the loose, and it can show up anywhere. It can be hard to see it sometimes, to believe it, to feel it, to trust it, and yet this story is one of the greatest stories of a truth that the love of God cannot be held back. It's still on the loose. And it's even out ahead of us, like Jesus that morning was out ahead of the disciples. Remember what he told you back in Galilee? The angel said, he's ahead of you. It's there for you tomorrow, the next day, and the next day, and even into eternity. One of the long-time holdings of the early church, they understood this in a way and an envisionment that I find very fun. And it's on the front of your bulletin. There are many images and iconography of this scene. It's called the harrowing of hell. And I love this. The people confessed, and we confess, he was crucified, died, and he was buried. And those of you who know it, we say he descended to the dead, or he descended into hell. And so the early church took hold of this, and they asked the question, well, what did he do there? And they started to depict what happened. And so they depict Jesus, and those two little planks that he's standing on are supposed to be the gates of hell, torn off their hinges and broken down. And all of the stuff underneath that are all the powers of evil, the demons, the sin that's there, trampled under his feet. And then he's reaching out into the graves, into the coffins of people trapped, and busting them loose. In this scene, the two people he's grabbing onto are supposed to be Adam and Eve, representative of the entire humanity. I love that. I like to think of Jesus there yesterday saying, going around to perhaps the dead, those who are imprisoned there, and saying, "Psst, we're busting out tomorrow." It's in line with what Jesus said he was up to from the beginning of this gospel, actually. In the Gospel of Luke, the first sermon he preached, he got up and read from Isaiah. And this is what he read: "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And as Shirley read today, the last obstacle in that was death. You know, sometimes I hear in Christian circles people and preachers who still speak as if hell hasn't been conquered, threatening eternal fire and waging fear in people's spiritual lives. But isn't the story of Easter and kind of the heart of the whole message that hell doesn't get any final say? Jesus is on the loose. God's love is still on the loose. At the same time, we all know all too well that the powers of hell still remain here. I walked with people this week who have experienced the grief of having an infant die, and with those who lost a longtime loved one due to pancreatic cancer. That's hard stuff. We're mindful of the power of sin and death still in the world. People face addiction. People go hungry. We still kill each other. The powerful take advantage of people. Leaders spread lies and followers believe them. People get cancer still. We can destroy the gifts of the creation. Mindful of the story of Jesus that we've heard this week leading up to today is essentially about a marginalized man who was wrongfully arrested, put through a sham trial, and publicly executed as a warning to others. And we experience our own political empires doing much the same still. There are people who literally and figuratively still need a jailbreak. It can be overwhelming. And perhaps the question then is, what can we do? Well, God's love is still on the loose. And it has come to meet us right here and right now, in this day and in this time and in this moment. Faith in this love is for eternity, surely. But perhaps even more powerfully, it's for today. Right here, right now, in this life, in this moment in history, it is for hope and courage and strength and peace and generosity and patience and grace for ourselves, for each other, for the whole world, for you. And Easter proclaims this love is free. It's free in the sense that it's on the loose. It can show up anywhere. Lo and behold, here it is today. And it's free that it costs nothing. It demands nothing. It's freely given. The great promise and the power of a crucified Lord who is on the loose, who's been through hell, who's already died, and comes to meet us today. In the face of all that is hellish and awful and evil in the world and in ourselves, it says, "Do not fear. I am with you. My love continues to flow. You are a child of God." I confess that even as a preacher, I still sometimes don't know what to do with that. Some days it seems an idle tale, and it can be extremely difficult when looking at an empty tomb to see if it makes any difference. But Easter keeps happening. Here we are again. God's love is on the loose, and that's good news. Thanks be to God. Amen.